Alright, so I'm going to show you some basic coil building. So the first thing you're going to want to do is start with the base of your pot, and you're going to use a slab for that. You don't want to use a coil for the base because it can crack. So I have my slats here and my rolling pin, and I'm just going to roll out a slab, just like we've done. If it doesn't roll, you got to move it because it gets stuck in the canvas. So, stuff happens like that, right? All right, and we're using moist clay. Don't use dry clay for this. So if you use moist clay, you won't have to use as much slip. All right, so here is my slab. And now I'm going to cut out a base. I'm just going to do a real quick, you can do it oval, circle, organic shape, whatever design you want. I'm just going to quick trace around this container, make a quick circle. All right, so there's my base. Move this aside. So I'm going to build the coil pot on a plate because then I can turn it, so I suggest you do that too. So you have your base. You're going to want to have some water and some slip. And the first thing you're going to do is build a coil. So this is how you roll out the coil. Take a piece of moist clay and just kind of squeeze it into a shape of a bit of a coil, like that. All right, and you're going to try to keep it as even as possible. So then you roll it, and when you roll it, you roll from the middle and then out. So you can see how my hand goes middle, out. And I'm kind of keeping my fingers spread out to keep it even. You want to go back and forth. All right, it's getting a little long, so I'm just going to pinch it off. Keep going. I'm moving my hands down so that it's nice and even. If I just go in one spot, it's going to get uneven. All right, so I think this is pretty good. You want it to be about the width of your thumb because we're going to be smoothing it. It's going to get thinner. All right, so here's my coil, and here's the base. So here is my coil. It's going to go around like that. Just going to pinch off a bit here. All right, so the first coil, you really do want to score and slip it on there. So you can either use the needle tool to rough it up like that, or if you want, you can just use a fork. That feels faster to you. So just rough it up all the way down. Okay. You only have to score one side. You don't have to score the coil. If you feel like your coil's pretty wet clay, then you don't have to. Alright, got that nice and sloppy on there. Now I'm going to put my coil down. And I'm going to be very firm. So you can see why this plate is helpful, because you can turn it. Alright, so now I get to the end here. And what I can do is take my needle tool and I can just kind of cut down like that. And then take this little piece, and then these should fit together nicely. Okay, so there's that. I'm going to smush those together. Okay, and now I'm ready to add my second coil. So here's my second coil. I'm just going to roll it out a little bit longer. All right, now the second coil, if your clay is moist, you do not need to score and slip it. So about there. Just going to cut that down. You can also just pinch it. All right. Meet that up there. Okay, so you want to kind of keep the shape of your coil pot. So I have some water here too, because you want to kind of smooth it out too. All right, once you get a few coils, I have one with a few more coils on it, so I'll trade this one out for this one. So once you have a few coils, let me put this coil on here. Maybe like 3 coils or so. Once you have about 3 coils, you're going to want to go inside the pot. See this? And you're going to want to smooth the coils together. So you're going to smooth those together. Let me push that back on. So you can use your finger, you can use this wood tool, one of the wood tools, the smooth side. I would just get it wet. And then you always want to support your pot from the outside. So I'm just going to go in this direction. And you're going to blend those coils together. Now you can also, sometimes I just use my finger, the back of my finger, and go around and smooth that out. So always supporting the outside of it, because you don't want to lose the shape of your coil pot. All right. So we're going to pretend I did the whole thing in the middle. Alright. Now, on the outside, you want to, these coils can dry and crack apart. So that's why you're blending it in the inside. And then on the outside, any little crack is going to show when it's fired. So if you don't want any cracks in it, you got to go over with a wet finger. Now I'm going to use my wooden tool, and in between the coils I'm just going to try to blend them a little bit, and I want to keep this kind of coil shape here. So I'm going to blend it, and then I'm just going to take my tool and define that line, because I kind of like the way that looks. Okay. So I'm going to go around, and then some places where it's flattened out, I can define that coil. You can also use this pointy edge. And get a little wet to smooth it. Alright, so I can just keep it building up. Alright, if I want it to go out, I would just start laying the coils out this way. If I wanted to go in, I would start laying the coils inwards. Alright, and let's say you want to have some kind of design on here. Instead of just going across, you want some kind of coil design. Well, I have some here. The other thing I didn't mention is you want to keep your clay wrapped up in plastic, because it will dry out even during our class period. So you can make things like spirals, right? And you can add your spirals to it. You can make, if you want to make some vertical coils, if you're going to make vertical coils, if you just try to stick it on there, it's going to flop around. So first put them together, smooth out the back, all right, so they're really stuck together, and then you can cut the size that you want. And then you can add it on there. So I would probably, this doesn't feel very secure to me, so I would score and slip that. Slip that, because you don't want that to crack off. So I'm going to put that on there. And remember, inside, you want to blend that inside so that that doesn't crack off when it dries. So you can see it. I'm blending the inside of it. Alright, so I'm starting to build it that way. If I want to put a spiral on, This is a little bit dry, so I might get it a little bit wet first. And I'll put that on here. Squish it in. And then don't forget, support it and blend them together on the inside. So you don't want these coils to be too thin, because when you're blending them, it's making them thinner. So that's why you want them to start off maybe the size of your thumb. Alright, so you can just keep adding to that, whatever your design is. You can roll a ball, stick that in there. You know, you can make more of those. Just remember to blend it. If I just put those on there, when they dry, they feel like they're on there, but when they dry, they're just going to pop right off. Alright, so make sure if your clay's feeling dry, you can just get it a little wet. And then be sure to blend it in the back. Okay? Blend it as you're building it. So it'll be hard to get way down there and blend it later on. And then if it gets a little smushed, you can always define it with your wood tool afterwards. Alright, so that's how you build this kind of a coil pot.